All right, Leo. So your underlying energy. Okay, let me just move this up just a little bit so you guys can see your outcome. Okay. So the underlying energy that you guys are working with is the Five of Swords. Yeah, that's talking about a little bit of brutal energy. Now, before, Cancer had the Five of Wands, guys. So you guys are getting the five of Swords. So you guys may be dealing with some people that are kind of petty, a little bit argumentative. You could be dealing with a lot of selfish individuals right now. And it's saying to do the same, I feel, with the Five of Swords. You really need to start considering yourself and considering what it is that's your truth and only focusing on your truth. But it also talks about being careful about, sabotaging whatever it is that you're trying to bring into fruition, whatever you're trying to manifest right now. Focusing on the things that you need to get done and then focusing on that only. And instead of making strides to kind of go ahead and make the situation happen faster, because it will come when it comes, okay? But for some of you guys, this could also mean that you might want to watch out for certain situations where it steers you away from what you're trying to manifest, because people can be weird and can be annoying and can be petting, and they can end up taking you and steering you away from your goals. Okay, so just be focusing on yourself, focusing on what your truth is, focusing on what you want, and that's it. All right. Underneath that, you have Judgment, and I feel like there is a lot of change that's happening here, major change. So things that are coming up that are indicating a really big adjustment. And I feel like this adjustment has a lot to do with pretty much the things that you've been through in your life, in your love lives altogether. So I feel like focusing on what you want, going after what you want, is the high point of this whole reading. Being careful not to try to overdo certain situations, and being careful not to make something happen too aggressively, if that makes sense. Just kind of do what you can and do what makes sense, instead of wanting to kind of making the situation a bit more hazard, a little bit more dangerous, or not necessarily dangerous, just a little bit more sabotaging on your part, or someone else's part, right? It's being sucked down those rabbit holes without someone else in regards to their issues. If it has nothing to do with you, Leo, leave it. It is what it is, right? But your guys' current situation is the Knight of Swords. So you guys could be dealing with a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius right now. Or you could be dealing with somebody that you feel is a little bit immature, handles their words a little bit recklessly. Like the Five of Swords, like I said, is very brutal card, very ruthless, very kind of direct in regards to things that are being said. So when the Knight of Swords comes up, there's some serious brutal communication coming up, some back and forth. And it's not necessarily usually a bad thing, I feel. It's usually just something that is through communication, and it's maybe not the easiest thing to hear, but it is the truth still of that person. The person's truth is their truth. It is what it is, right? But I also feel like this could be you. Normally, I wouldn't read you guys as knights or queens, but I do get the sense that there is this need for you guys to fight for what you believe in, fight for your truth. And that's why I'm saying focus on your truth and stay focused on what it is that your goals are. Focus on what you want. Focus on what it is that you stand by, because other people's opinions and things like that can kid you, put you off track, pretty much. So Leo, I feel like right now it's really like your current state of being is all about a little bit combative, fighting for your truth, maybe not feeling constantly like tested to kind of communicate or say your truth or speak your mind, and it's almost like a baiting thing. So be very careful that you're not being baited, okay? Because you could be baited this week. But at the same time, I mean, you could honestly be, feeling very strong in your truth, really feeling very combative in regards to what you believe is right for yourself. But honestly, like I'm saying, with the Five of Swords, focus on yourself, right? If the other person don't get it, they don't get it. But that's, you may have to make some sacrifices, right? Because that's what the Five of Swords also indicates, sacrificing certain things to make your statement clear, right? To show that you are, that your truth is important and you stand by your truth. Now, your goal here is the Queen of Swords. Now, she takes Five of Swords to the next level, in my opinion, because she does not compromise. Well, she does. But the thing is that her truth is always a prominent, like, go-to sort of law that she abides by. Her truth is her law, and that's it. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So yeah, so initially she doesn't really compromise in the sense. She is ruled by Libras, so she can make a balance for certain things, right? But her truth is her truth, and that's it. So I do get the feeling that you guys may be wanting to connect with a Libra or connect with another Gemini or Aquarius, but I get the feeling that this is also possibly even you guys as well, where this is indicating that you may want to stand in your truth. You want to be very clear in your truth, or you want to communicate your truth in a very clear way. But you don't want to be completely, I think you just want to be completely straightforward and just cold cut with it. Just kind of be honest and not necessarily sugarcoat necessarily. I do get the sense that maybe you guys want to have a better idea of your intentions. Or not necessarily your intentions, but you want to make clear that what you're after is what you're after. Whether this is a relationship, commitment, or friendship, or business, whatever it is, I feel like you guys want to be very clear about what you're kind of trying to portray, trying to communicate with with anybody that you're dealing with. Now, what's keeping you from the Queen of Swords, whether this is an actual person or where you guys wanting to be in in yourselves, you have the Ace of Pentacles. So there could have been something that's not very stable, some offer that was expressed to you that didn't really show stability. Maybe the reason why you guys have the Queen of Swords here, the reason why is because there isn't a commitment at all, possibly. There hasn't been a new beginning started with you and this person. And the reason why is because there's something has ended pretty badly. Something probably ended like that. But the thing is, the worst is over, and I just feel like there is still this recovery, right? They're still recovering from something that happened in the past that possibly ended very badly, and it hasn't kept you from being able to commit to something or wanting to commit to something that's going to require loyalty from you, energy, dedication, hard work, etc. Because you've been through something very similar, and it probably left you feeling dead in the dirt. So this is understandable, right? So you get the Five of Swords going on, you're kind of combative, you're very stickler about the truth, which I feel like you should be, focusing on yourself, focusing on what you believe in, focusing on what it makes you truly happy, and not compromising that at all. So I feel like the Queen of Swords is like, well, I'm happy to make a truth. I feel like you guys want some particular person, like someone that you believe that kind of matches your ideals, matches your thoughts, or at least you feel that's able to communicate with you in regards to how you feel. But at the same time, something that happened in the past is keeping you from wanting to create, to build on a relationship that's leading to you towards support, security, and stability, because it's going to require a lot of work. It's a slow build, things like that. Now, your best path to follow, or your advice, is the Devil. And the Devil is talking about finding your power. And finding your power in a situation where you're constantly surrounded by temptation, constantly surrounded by things that push you towards old ways of behaving, old patterns of doing something that may not have benefited you in the past. So that's also putting down, your boundaries and setting down integrity, right? Showing your integrity in your situation. Not compromising what it is that truly makes you happy to get to where you want to be. And that's what I'm talking about with this, you may want to be careful about sabotaging yourself, because you don't want to force something to happen. And I feel like, so that's what I'm saying. So be very careful, guys, in regards to building your boundaries and making sure you stick with those boundaries, because you don't want to compromise or sacrifice your own boundaries to get to where you want to be. Because it'll get to a relationship where you may feel like you don't have a lot of integrity, or you don't really feel like you are stable because you compromise a bit of yourself. Stick to your boundaries, stick to your truths. This is what's going to help you get to where you want to be, right? It's going to show you a lot of things if you stay grounded. And I think that's why Judgment's coming up with the Five of Swords underneath here. So that's what I feel like that's what the Devil here is saying, is be careful not to really to force a situation to the point where you end up sacrificing a bit of your truth. You've been through a lot already in the past where you had to go through something that wasn't very pleasant, and you've recovered from that, but there is a bit of something that's lingering still that's keeping you from committing, and that's a lot to do with this. So you want to keep those boundaries in place, right, that you've built from the previous relationship, previous toxic relationship that you've been in, or a relationship where you felt like you weren't able to feel free. Maybe you felt very trapped. This is your opportunity to show yourself that you have developed, you have built something for yourself, a stable ground for yourself, to be able to begin something new with the boundaries that you create to protect yourself. But it's going to require you to stand by your boundaries and not give those up. So be very careful right now. Now, for your hopes and fears, you have the Hangman, and that was reversed. But I'm getting the sense that it's really talking about, feeling kind of stuck in limbo, kind of not, you want to see a new perspective, or there is something that's there or you're feeling stuck and you're having to see something from a different perspective. I'm not getting the reversal portion of it, because usually that's the only card I do read that's reversed. But I'm getting the sense that you guys are feeling very stuck. You guys feel like you're kind of waiting in limbo and things like that. But I feel like it's not necessarily a bad energy. I feel like you're just wanting to see things from another perspective. I feel like you're trying to get a new idea of certain things. And that's actually all right, especially with Judgment coming up. Talking about going through something and changing who you are, right? You've initially changed your character. So now with the Five of Swords coming up as your knowing energy, there is this need to kind of focus on yourself, kind of being selfish in relationships right now, which is never a bad thing. Being selfish is never bad. Being inconsiderate is bad. Well, being inconsiderate can cause some seriously unpleasant consequences, but that's all in the type of individual. And I feel like right now there is this stagnancy that you may be feeling right now, and it's because there's some sort of perspective that's needed to change. Five of Swords changes, right? So there's a change in perspective right now on how you see yourself, how you see your truth, and how you see the boundaries that you created for relationships in the present. So there's a lot of things that's changing right now, and that is why you feel like you guys may not be moving very much or having a lot of change. You're not feeling a lot of change, or you're not feeling like there is a lot of less going on. So I do get the sense here that this Hangman energy is indicating to me that there is a new perspective on, that you're looking out for, but you may not necessarily feel things moving. Now, with your hopes and fears, you have the Seven of Pentacles. Now, the Seven of Pentacles is talking about whether, feeling whether or not this is a worthy relationship to put your hearts and soul into. And that's fair enough, right? Hangman energy is high-fiving the Seven of Pentacles energy, saying, like, hold on a second, wait a second. Is this relationship truly what you want? If this person has or hasn't respected your boundaries, is it worth you going ahead and putting in your effort, putting in the time and the energy into a relationship? And that's for you to decide, right? A reader can never tell you what you should and should not do, and you should never ask them what you should and should not do. You should always consult yourself what you truly desire, because nobody can tell you what you truly want but you. Now, if this relationship is something that you guys want, right? If this, this person's communicating very well, but they have certain situations where they may they put their truth, where they put themselves first at all times, which as you should, right? And it bugs you, then it gives you an opportunity to really reevaluate what it is that your ideal relationship is. But you have an idea of what it is. Your current situation is asking you to really stand by your truth. You may be seeing some sort of beginning of a relationship blossoming here with someone, but they have a different way of going about things. And you're having to kind of contemplate whether or not this is something that you can truly stand by. Okay, so the Seven of Pentacles is completely understandable here, right? You're trying to figure out whether this relationship is worth the effort and time to put in, if you can truly commit to something like that, because the thing that's missing here is commitment. The thing that's keeping you from committing to the Queen of Swords in your present, or committing to the Queen of Swords in your goal, is the fact that you're not necessarily 100% sold on the offer yet of starting something long-term with this person. So take your time, right? Do whatever you need to do, as long as you feel good about the offer that feel good about the decisions that you make. Now, with your outcome, you have the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups is indicating here that you guys have you have reached a point in your decision making where you find what you don't want. That's not necessarily feeling sad or, upset, but it's ultimately feeling like you have run through all the options and decided that none of these truly satisfy you. And that can be a great thing, right? Another adventure to go and find what it is that truly makes you happy, that truly makes you feel content, and being able to manifest from the vibe of feeling very happy about finally knowing what it is that you want. So I feel like with Eight of Cups, you will be probably walking away from something, nothing physical, but really you'll be feeling emotionally done with something. Not, like I said, not sad, not depressed, not angry, but you're just like, this isn't really what I want, but I'm going to go and find it. So Eight of Cups is a really promising card, and I like that. So right now it's all about the change in perspectives that's happening here with the Five of Swords. And I feel like as long as you focus on yourself and, the past life relationships came out. Interesting. But I'm not going to accept that one. That just fell out. But I feel like there's a change in perspective here But as long as you focus on your truth, okay, and make sure that you're standing by your, your boundaries and things like that, this will help you make a decision on whether this relationship is for you or isn't, and what you may need to be modified, right? Because the Eight of Cups doesn't mean breakups or leaving behind a situation. It can, but it doesn't mean necessarily that. It just tells you that you're walking away from a situation that's emotionally, like you're emotionally done with a situation that doesn't really work for you, that's unsatisfying. So that doesn't mean you leave a situation. It just means you can modify it. You can find a new way to make it better for you and the person that you're with. That's one thing that I love about the Eight of Cups. All right, Leo, let's see what you guys get for the week ahead. Sorry, guys, I'm losing my voice here. And you guys have love yourself first. Amen. Okay, that's the Five of Swords right there, is your underlying energy. And he says your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. Loving yourself first, guys, is very important, because that shows, that not only makes you more attractive, but it also shows yourself that you have your back. Okay? I really feel like, guys, standing by your truth is what's really going to really help you in your situation. And also knowing and relying on your truth as a sense of clarity in your situation can provide you with the information needed to decide whether or not this is something that you truly want or something that you may need to modify or completely leave behind, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and pull you guys your Whispers of Love. Wow. Love is all around you. There is love everywhere all the time. Simply acknowledge this as truth. That is absolutely true. Love is everywhere, but the love comes from yourself first, right? So love yourself and love will follow. That's what I feel this combo is saying. All right, Leo. I hope that your week is smooth, nice, and not as chaotic as this, but I hope also that you guys are able to gain this sort of perspective that can really shift your relationships in the direction that you guys truly want to be in. There's a lot of changes happening for not just you, but for everybody. Gemini, Cancer, everybody's going through this, especially with Uranus entering Taurus and Mars is entering Aquarius. There's a lot of intellectual, detached thought going into these things that require us to look at what truly makes things valuable, right? There's a lot of spark, there's a lot of changes, a lot of quick thinking, a lot of quick action happening. So allow yourself to kind of go through the motions and experience these things, but also to keep in mind your truth, okay, with everything.